right, there we go. All right, so if you have been following us for the last four weeks, we've been doing this for 4 weeks now. That's crazy. If you've been following us for the last 4 weeks. The slide presentations of the format I like to use is really talking about what people do not do when it comes to farming, and not just farming, but farming for the sake of being an actual business entity. Common mistakes that I see within the farming community. So, one thing that I notice with a lot of farmers is they do not market and sell. So, the best way to have a failing farm is to not market and sell your products. So, some common mistakes that people will find or normally go into is they don't find where their ideal customer frequents. And what I mean by frequent is they don't know where their ideal customer normally goes, what their life is like, where they normally find themselves on a week-to-week basis. I'll give an example. Let's say your ideal customer is a someone who is health conscious, right? You don't necessarily know fully what that means, but you want someone who's health conscious. Cool. If we had to narrow that down, let's say they're health conscious from a workout standpoint, workout wellness standpoint. Because you can also have health conscious from a mom with 4 kids, right? Mom with 4 kids, not the same as a gym rat. Sorry. If you don't know what a gym rat is, someone who literally lives at the gym all day, every day. That's their life. It's part of their religious. And if they don't go work out at least once a day, they don't feel complete. So that's a gym rat. So you got two different people. They have to be marketed a little bit differently. But let's say you are someone who is active and you maybe want an ideal customer who is similar to you. Well, where would you go on a week-to-week basis? Where are some places that you go? Where are some places your ideal customer will go? So when we're thinking about physical locations, we'll talk about digital in just a little bit, but physical locations. Um, Someone who is really conscious about their health, wanting to improve their body, and they want either Dexter beef or Dexter milk to help fuel their body, right? They're going to be found mostly in the gym. Yeah, they'll be at work. Well, kind of have to figure out what kind of work do these type of people like to do. But gyms are really good spot. Also, some health and wellness centers. That might be the smoothie shop down the street, right? That might be the local grocery store that's not Walmart, but something a little bit more bougie, right? They're normally not going to find themselves in just a with the common man if they really are focused on health and wellness. They like going to find places that are a little different, more unique, and have products that they normally could not find at a regular grocery store because a lot of the healthy bougie stuff, either you're going to find it online or you're going to find it at a boutique or small chain grocery store. So that's one way of thinking about like, if that's your ideal customer, how can you leverage that information of where your ideal customer is and put yourself in front of them? Sometimes what people will do is, and I've had clients that do this, they'll actually go into the gym, talk to the gym owner, and create kind of a referral agreement, right? So basically, the gym owner can either put ads, physical ads, maybe if the gym owner has a membership program, which they should, then the gym owner can allow for a discount for your products as a gym member, right? So that's kind of incentive for membership for the gym owner. And then, so if you make that agreement, and if you're like, how do I get myself into this situation? Just kind of remind the gym owner, like, hey, I want to add value to your members and your members' lives. I want to add value to what you're doing. And so I would love to do maybe a discount program, a referral program. So that way your audience, your customers, your members are getting better, nutritious resources than they would maybe find at a grocery store, and that you get some credit for that, right? You're playing an active role in making them healthy, not just from a physical workout standpoint, but also from a nutritional standpoint. And any good gym owner is going to be really interested in figuring out how to work with you if you're willing to leverage what you have and market it in a way to where they feel comfortable and confident that what you're going to provide is going to match their audience needs. Again, the whole point of marketing, the whole point of a business is to meet a need. If you are not developing a business or creating products that with the mindset of, oh, this is going to meet someone's need because I keep hearing people talk about this need all over the place, if you're not hearing people talk about their needs and you're creating a product, do not be surprised if people do not buy your product. And it might not have anything to do with your location, might not have anything to do with the quality of your product. It might just simply not be needed by the people around you or the area that you're trying to market to. So always keep that in mind. So if you want to try to market into an actual physical location, some people it's not gyms, it's restaurants, to get to a actual customer, understand that again, you have to leverage your story, you have to leverage the product, but all from the standpoint of how it's going to help that gym owner, that restaurant owner, how it's going to help them with their story, how it's going to help them with their brand, how it's going to help them with providing an even more excellent experience for the people that walk into their doors. So that's kind of an idea from a physical location is where do your ideal customers usually frequent? Now, when we think about from a digital standpoint with where your customers are frequently, what's important is understanding is what platforms are they usually on? You have Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, YouTube. Those are the big four. There are some other niche social media platforms like LinkedIn, Rumble, things like that. But for most food providers, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, YouTube is going to be more of a better bet. Um, what's important about that is not every customer is going to find themselves predominantly on all different channels. So if you're looking for someone who's maybe they're more of a mom of three, let's say she's married, let's say that she is either stay at home or works part time, where do you think she might normally frequent? And that's actually a question. I want y'all to put in the comments, where do you think someone like that actually frequents? Do you think they frequent Facebook a lot, Instagram a lot, YouTube, or TikTok? I want to wait because I want y'all to answer that question. See what y'all got. All right, Penny says Facebook. Diamond G Ranch, Facebook. Justin, YouTube. Okay, what else we got? All right, Jeff says Facebook and Instagram. Okay, okay. All right, let's get one more person to comment. All right, Kimberly says Instagram. All right. And Tim also says Facebook. All right. And this is why I like asking y'all questions and I like y'all's participation because y'all's experience actually matters. I want to learn from y'all and I want y'all to be able to learn from each other. Yeah, Facebook, and mom groups and possibly non-toxic groups. So Dennis is on to something. Michelle, YouTube. John says Craigslist. Old but good. All right. Um, and actually, John, I want to talk about John's Craigslist thing real quick. Uh, people who are breeders, I know they use Craigslist a lot because their audience are normally going to frequent Craigslist for livestock of any kind. People usually aren't going to look for livestock to purchase on Instagram or YouTube. Now, not that people can't do that, but if you're a breeder and your customer base are people who are looking for breeding stock or for just stock in general, then yeah, Instagram might not be the best place. YouTube might not be the best place, but Craigslist and Facebook. That's king. Always has been king. Um, so again, going back to the example of a mom of three, probably married, and is either stay at home or works part time. She is most likely going to be on Facebook and or Instagram. Now, what I did not say is how old she was. The older she is, the more likely she's going to be on Facebook. The younger she is, the more likely she's going to be on Instagram and or TikTok. But Instagram and Facebook, which are all owned by Zuckerberg. You may call him a lizard. We don't know if he's a lizard or not. But what I can say is that that integration has really helped both fears of customer base to actually be combined in a lot of different cool ways when it comes to advertisements and when it comes to marketing. So there's actually a little bit more continuity between the two rather than differences. So yeah, Facebook is going to be probably the best bet if she's, let's say, late 30s and up. If she is under early 30s and under, she's probably going to be more on Instagram. However, one person did point out Facebook has a lot of Facebook groups. That's one thing that Instagram does not have. Instagram does not have as far as I know, does not have actual groups where people can just kind of post and get some feedback on. So Facebook's going to be a good place. What is important to understand about Facebook is that Facebook is not necessarily region specific. It also depends on how you're marketing, because you can go into a Facebook group of, stay-at-home moms. Maybe they're part of the non-toxic community, meaning they don't want products that got a bunch of chemicals in it, or these crunchy mama groups, but they're not always specific to an actual region. So you might have be a part of a group, but they're all the way in California and you live in Oklahoma. Is that going to be helpful for you? Yes and no. Here's why. It depends on what kind of product you're selling. Are you selling Dexter beef? Okay, you might be able to work something out if you can do shipping, which usually can do dry ice packaging. That's a next level of entrepreneurship. But if you were selling an actual, let's say, skincare product, maybe you're using Dexter beef tallow and you're creating creams and balms with that, well, it doesn't matter where your customer is. Your customer can be all over the country. It's really easy to ship a shelf stable product. So again, it really depends on where your customer is. It also depends on your actual product. So when you think about your ideal customer, think always about the product that you're trying to sell. If you're selling both beef and tallow lip balm, you can get some cross mingling, but the two audiences tend to be somewhat different. So that's kind of an example of like thinking about where your ideal customer will usually frequent. And again, if you're doing Facebook or Instagram, I highly recommend using ad space because that actually allows for you to get more of a geological or geographical, not geological, I'm not talking about dinosaurs or anything, geographical advertisement and targeting. That's important. So when you have an Instagram account, Facebook account, show all your pretty pictures, have all their advertisements for your meats or whatever you're selling, but make sure with your ads that it's targeting a particular city or region for your ideal customer that usually is. Other things to keep in mind is never use people who fail at this, they never use pre-order option. Pre-order option is very important, especially if you're starting out. And if you don't know the reason why to that, the reason why is because people get money up front. I cannot tell you how important it is when you can get money up front before the animal's even butchered. In some cases, before the animal's even born. I can't tell you how important it is to get upfront money. That's like imagine getting let's say you're selling some a meat bundle, beef bundle, right? Either you sell whole cow, half steer, or you're doing bundle boxes where they're getting maybe 12 pounds, 50 pounds, whatever. Okay, so I already have the animal. It just got born, or it's, 6 months to a year old, something like that. And depending on y'all's program, some of y'all raise your dexters for a little bit longer if you're doing grass finish. Some of y'all a little bit shorter if you're doing grain fed. But thinking about, okay, before I even butcher the animal, I have all my costs covered. If you're using grain, before the animal is even finished out, or going heavily on grain, I already have money to pay for all the grain. That's super important. For some of you, maybe you do want to go into more skincare products, and the reason why I bring that up is because the market for skincare is so high, the profit margins so high, and we'll talk about profit margins a little bit, are so high that people who go into that market have a good product, a good label, and understand how to advertise, they're making extraordinarily good money. And generally on products that most people wouldn't have much of a need for. Again, beef tallow. If you were just to sell raw beef tallow, not in all areas, but in most areas, it's pretty cheap, right? You're not going to make a lot of money if you're selling raw beef tallow. However, if you are turning that into an actual skincare product and selling it for 30, let's say $30 for 4 ounces, we got people who are selling skincare products for $60 for 6 ounces. That's $10 an ounce. How many ounces are in a pound? 16, right? So do the math on that. It's an egregious amount of money that you can make from that. So that's the reason why I bring that up. But being able to have the pre-orders before you even make that value-added product, being able to actually get money. Let's say you have an Instagram follow and say, hey, we know that y'all have been loving our beef so far, and we want to take being able to provide um, healthy products for you to the next level. So next season, we're going to be offering beef tallow lip balms or skincare products. So pre-order now. That way you can save your product. Also, you want to maybe include some scarcity. We also have limited. Sorry, I need to drink some water. My voice is giving out. Thank you. We also have limited time options, right? So this offer is not going to be for the whole year. You have 2 weeks, a week, 30 days, 60 days, 2 months to be able to do the pre-order. You get a discount with the pre-order. If you don't do the pre-order, well, guess what? You have to pay full price for these products once they are available, right? So then that's encouraging your audience. That's encouraging your customers. Oh, okay, well, I'm interested in this product, and if I want to get it, oh, he's giving like a 10% discount. I know I need this product or I want this product. There's really no point in me waiting. So I want to pre-order. That way I can get the discount. Also, I want to pre-order because I love following this farmer, you being the farmer. So again, doing pre-order really can give you money that you wouldn't have up front, and that upfront capital can mean the world to you. For sometimes I've had customers who or clients who have done pre-order and it literally saved them because there was a emergency, or let's say that grain prices went up, but they bought their grain ahead of time, and then before grain prices could skyrocket, they actually were a little inflation proof because they bought it ahead of time. It can really save you. Like I'm not exaggerating. So, anyways, I'll jump off that little soapbox. And then point number three, farmers who don't succeed when it comes to marketing, selling product, they don't consider profit margins. Now, I want to ask you in the comments, what is profit? Define profit in 5 words or less. And do not Google it. Don't be cheating. Don't be cheating. That's not fun. Don't be cheating. But what determines profit? What's the equation for profit? If you had to make an equation, and then an equal sign, and then profit, what would that equation actually look like? So I'm going to look in the comments, see what y'all got in there. Kimberly says money made after expenses, material plus labor. All right. Money left after pay and expenses. All right. Anybody else? Oh, Capty says costs minus expenses. Penny says money earned above cost. Hold on. See, we got John Ward. Gross or net profit? I love you, John. You're so funny. I love you. Either or. All right. So when we're thinking about profit, also really a lot of good examples in there. When we're thinking about profit, so in the idea of profit, you have price. So when I see a price, and normally I'll have some clients and I'll look at their prices and I'll say, oh, okay, how'd you get that price? And the common answer is, oh, well, it costs about this much to produce this amount of pork or chicken or veggies or fill in the blank product, value added product. So this is our costs. Or even for people who are doing experiences like butchery demos, farm to table dinners. Oh, well, here are our expenses. So, we're just, trying to cover the expenses. That's one of the quickest ways to not make it the following year. Quickest ways. What did we miss? Now, before we get into profit, what we missed was labor. Most people don't add labor as a part of their expenses. And again, going back into, I think last week when we talked about creating boundaries with our finances, our personal finances from our farm finances, putting yourself on the ballot, on the balance sheet, putting yourself as an expense, even if it's, let's say, imaginary, or if I actually was to pay myself, I would be in the red. Okay, cool. Put yourself on the budget sheet. Be in the red, imaginarily speaking. But now you know how far in the hole you are and how much it will take for you to climb out of that hole. Because now you know how expensive you are or how expensive your task is. For some people, they leverage that and say, oh, okay, this is how much I would pay me because my time's valuable. But I got a cousin down the street or a nephew down the street or a second cousin or that kid on the block who keeps talking about my cows. Maybe I could pay him like $10 to do some chores. Okay, cool idea. So when you're thinking about price, you're thinking about costs, expenses, including labor, plus your profit margin. Profit margin is the money that your desired money that you want to have in addition to your expenses being covered and paid for, which also would include your labor. I hope that makes sense. So again, profit margin. Let's say you're selling a product for $30 and it takes $20 to make it, produce it, including labor. That's all expensive. Takes $20. All right, your profit margin is $10. Some people will say, I want a percent profit margin versus a hard number profit margin. So I'm doing good if I got 15%. I'm doing good if I got 30%. Or they might say, $10, $5, $2, $20. That's a good profit margin. So there are two ways that you can look at it. Each way has their own pros and cons, but just including a profit margin is important. The reason why it's important is because if you don't have profit, and profit's not for you, I think maybe someone might have made a mistake about like what's left over for you to keep. That's not how that works. That's not your money. You already got paid because your labor costs, you already got paid through the pricing. The profit is for the business. Because guess what? You gotta pay for infrastructure for next year. You gotta pay for feed for next year, whether it's grain or hay. You gotta pay for vet bills, shots. You gotta pay for that for next year. So profit margin is designed to generate income outside the expenses that you can use for the following season or for the following year to help cover operational expenses. The reason why I'm saying that is because a lot of farmers do not operate that way. They usually start out as a hobbyist or they start out haphazard and they get themselves into a very deep financial hole because they did not understand the concept of pricing when you have expenses, including labor, plus a profit margin. They were not operating on that way. They were operating on a whim. And that's the exact reason why you don't see them in the next 5 years, while they're out of business by year three. I do not want that for you. Absolutely not. And quite frankly, now that we've had this conversation, there ain't no excuse for you to fall in that trap. So, what we're going to do is we're going to go into our breakout rooms, and I would love to hear what y'all have to say. So, question number one: who is your ideal customer, and where do they usually shop or spend time? Question number two: how can you consistently engage your audience on social media while staying true to your brand values? We're going to do these two questions first, actually, because we got plenty of time. We're only doing one topic today. So actually, I'll have y'all do these two questions first. We'll say the third question at the end. So for ideal customer, again, be very specific. You need to know what kind of life they live, how many kids they got, what kind of career, how much money they're bringing home, right? Understanding your ideal customer is going to be really helpful. And then also understanding whether the product you're producing is actually going to be a need for them. And with that, where they usually frequent. So again, for some people, your ideal customer is a health nut. Where are those places that they usually frequent? And then for social media, again, what are ways to be consistently engaging your audience while staying true to your brand? The reason why I bring that up is because there are a lot of people. Let's talk about YouTube. I like YouTube. There are a lot of people on YouTube who, because YouTube is monetized, and they either have a desire to be monetized or they're trying to maintain their monetization. And I know this is someone who is monetized on YouTube. They will either stay true to their brands and just produce content whenever they want to or need to, as life happens and as things are being learned or taught. And then there are these goofballs, some of them are in our community, who are just constantly putting out content, but it's meaningless. It's purposeless. Or they put out a lot of content, but it's fear mongering. It's creating divisiveness. It's trying to get you in a state of panic. Why do they do this? Because they're trying to make money. Every video that they post, they're making money. But a lot of these people are not truly staying true to their actual brand and their audience who love them. So, again, whether you're on YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, wherever you are, how are you going to stay authentic to your brand as you consistently engage your audience? Everyone's back. So I'm glad you're all back. All right, so I'd love to hear what y'all learned, and also what you felt like has been most helpful for you as well. So we're gonna open the floor up to anybody, and if you do share, I'll give you a little low on time, so I have to give you a minute. But yeah, who'd like to go first? Don't be shy. I saw y'all's chats. There are plenty of people talking.
I'll jump in here. Is just I think what it seems to be there's two different levels. There's one is if you is the quantity of product or what your product is that you have to sell is going to determine what you're going to need. The Facebook and Instagram is going to have a much larger audience. And if there was other people that mentioned, like, I'm interested a little bit more in the agritourism aspects, then uh, it's going to be more of a local audience. So you're going to want to look more to local, if it's local Facebook or just local community organizations, that type of thing.
Thanks for sharing, John. Completely agree with you. All right, anybody else?
We talked about the significance of having a website to go along with that, like online presence with socials. But to have a place for people to come to you, and the importance of like having a Google business account so that as people are searching, they can find you.
Thank you for sharing that, Denise. And I was waiting for someone to share it, and you done triggered it. Y'all, why is it that when I go to some of y'all's websites, if you have a website, I don't know who y'all are, what y'all trying to sell to me. I got pictures of your dog, but I saw pictures of your dog before I saw pictures of your product. Explain that to me. No, I'm just kidding. But no, seriously, when when I when I onboard people, I'll ask for their social medias, but I also ask for their websites. Most of them have a website, but the issue tends to be it's there, but it's not really a high functioning website. It's hard to navigate. If I don't know what they're about. I'm seeing, oh, well, we got flowers. Okay, but what about your meat? Where can I find your meat? I can't find your meat on this website. It takes me 5 minutes to figure it out. It should only take me 5 seconds to go to a space where I can just literally pick out products. Um, so, I appreciate Denise mentioned that because one of the issues that I find is even when people have a website, it's not a very good functioning website. If you don't have a website, here is your issue. If Mark Zuckerberg said, I hate local products, I hate small businesses. So any small business accounts terminated. Or let's say your Instagram account gets hacked, which actually happens very commonly. There is an epidemic of just accounts getting hacked left and right. And it only takes one time to literally ruin everything. If you don't have an Instagram account anymore, a Facebook account anymore, because it got hacked, are you still able to find your audience? Is your audience still able to find you? Legitimate question. I say with a lot of love and grace and understanding because I've been there, but it's a legitimate question. I've met people who literally, when they lost their Instagram account, it got banned or shut down, and they don't know why, or their Facebook account got hacked. They had nowhere to go. They completely lost their audience and their customers like that. They weren't because those websites don't collect emails. Now you can collect their email, but the best way of collecting someone's email is by doing it on your website. If you ever go to like one of those fancy farms websites or agritourism websites, you go in and maybe 5 seconds after you scroll, they have a little pop-up that says, sign up for our newsletter. And then you see sign up button, but you put in your email and you put your email, then you hit the sign up button because they understand, hey, you might not even buy from us, but maybe one day you're curious enough to come on the website. So would you be interested when you are ready to purchase to at least hear what we have to offer when we have something to offer through your email. People who do that, they win. They literally win, not just at life, but in business. And that's the important part. Stop leaning on social media to be your website. It will, at some point in time, fail you. And you don't want it to fail you when you have no backup. So, collecting emails, Facebook, Instagram, not good places to do that. Your social media account should be drawing people to your website, not keeping them on social media platform. If you go to your social media account, do you have all your links? Is there a link to your website? Is there a link to your email? Again, even if you ain't got a website and I'm trying to figure it out, I'm not there yet, put your email on your social media account. So that way when they reach out to you, they'll be like, hey, nice to meet you. You can save that email, put it in the email list. So that way if something goes wrong, guess what? You still have their emails. All right, I'm gonna actually put in the chat the third question. Third question is this: what factors influence your pricing? And how do you convey the value of your product to justify the price? And I am curious, especially for those of you who you feel like you have found some success. How do you justify your products? How do you convey the value of your product?
I have to say I'm a little bit different in this where I never justify my expenses to a customer. If they want, I try to market to my ideal customer who's going to value my product as much as I do. I don't want to price it so high that it's you know, ridiculous, right? I mean, I'm not trying to rip people off, but I price it at what makes me money, what I would value, not what others are pricing at or anyone near me. I'm actually more expensive than most everybody around me. But for me to keep doing what I'm doing, that's what I have to price it at. And if if customers, you know, that come to me, they know the price, we build that relationship with them, in a personal relationship, we're having that friendship, and they want to buy from me regardless of my costs. If my costs go up, because I've put that time into that relationship. So I don't justify my price. I have lost one customer when I raised my milk price $1. And I said, he's like, I just can't afford it. I said, well, I understand, it's $1 a week. You bought one gallon a week and it was $1. That's just too much, and that's fine. But I have typically a wait list, so for that person, that was not my ideal customer. So I didn't feel like I needed to justify my price increase to them. So I think when you put emphasis on building that personal relationship with your customers and showing them the value added product, as Pork Rind says, that this is how this is going to benefit you, this is how it benefits me, and they value that product, they're going to pay for whatever price you put on there, even if it's cheaper somewhere else. They're going to want to buy from you because you're their friend. You're on mute, Pork Rind.
I was like, thanks for sharing, Kimberly. Excellent point. Um, and justify is, and for context to the question, justifying not necessarily uh, not there's a difference between justifying and creating a defense. So I'm not talking about for those who want to answer the question about how do you defend your product, right? But how do you justify the pricing of your product, not to your customers in terms of, oh, well, it's just it's expensive, blah 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 blah. But being able to leveraging their need, flipping it not so much about price, but about how your product is meeting their need or is a solution to their problem. Is there anyone else who would like to share before we close out?
So Kimberly was in our breakout session, and booyah to Kimberly. She is the bomb. She gave us some great ideas, and I'm just listening to her just now about that. The meat that we've sold so far has been more expensive than anybody else has been on Craigslist, where we where I kind of tried to get at what our meat would cost. And these people are doing it for whatever price they were doing it. And I'm thinking, how in the world are they making any money at that? There's just too much time and effort into it at that. I don't want to sell it at that. I can I in construction our term my deal was always I would tell people I can stay home and go broke. I don't need to go to work and go broke. So I we get those prices that we've done, and you either want it or you don't. And if you don't like it, we'll eat it. The music.
Sorry,
Music cut.
I had it on
No,
a weird setting for the timer. My bad.
it's like the Academy Awards. Get out the hook.
Thanks for sharing, and completely agree. Uh, my favorite especially when I did a lot of in-person events and speaking events, I'd ask how much we charging for a dozen eggs. And these are national events. So people are legitimately coming from all over the country. $5 a dozen. Oh, $5 a dozen. Yeah, $5. Where are you from? Oh, Texas. Where are you from? Oh, Ohio. Where are you from? Oh, rural Pennsylvania. Who came up with $5 a dozen for eggs? That everyone starts selling it, no matter what their state is, no matter inflation, no matter what their feed costs are, selling eggs for $5 a dozen, pasture raised eggs. And the reality is, a lot of people make the mistake of looking at someone else and saying, "Oh, I should just price based on what they're pricing," or maybe I might do an extra 50 cents more or dollar more. That is a quick way to not succeeding. And the reason why you don't want to fall in that pit trap is because so many people are not business savvy. They have a passion, but they don't have a good strategy for executing profitability. And so they just come up with numbers. Do you want to follow someone and base your pricing on someone who you don't know their financial decision-making skills? They might be going bankrupt. Are you going to base your price on someone who's about to go bankrupt? I would hope not. So when you're basing your prices, it legitimately, like what was shared earlier, needs to be based on your actual expenses, including your labor plus your profit margin. Now, if you realize you could actually make more money, all the more merrier. I've got some folks, they were selling a high value added product, and they were selling it, around a little below market value, still making good money. But when they realized like, oh, I could charge double and people would still buy, guess what? Their profit margin went out the roof and they were able to buy more equipment. They were able to buy more livestock. They were able to buy more raw ingredients, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So never base your pricing off of what someone else is doing when you have no idea what their financial record keeping is, whether or not they're even financially stable as a business or as a person. Don't ever do that. All right. Time for one more share before we wrap it up. Anybody? Oh, we got someone in the chat. Tim says, this year we sold our beef for at 325 pound hanging weight because we are just getting our foot in the door, but we watch what local butchers are charging and try to stay a step above them. Kimberly. Kimberly. Kimberly says, Tim, you are selling a quality product that far exceeds that of what the butcher is selling. Man, see, this is why I like you, Kimberly. This is why I like you. Those animals are being bought from auction. What you can sell people is a product that was born and raised on your farm. People value knowing the history of, oh, whoops, someone else put a comment in there. Value the history of an animal. They value knowing the animal lived a good life and only had one bad day. Your prices should be a tick higher than the butcher. Kimberly, amen, amen, amen. Dennis says we have to be at $5.50 a pound to break even. We sell at $7.50 a pound hanging weight. And again, when you go on these Facebook groups or YouTube or you see these farmers on TikTok and they'll say, oh, we sell our product for blah, 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 blah. Again, you don't know their costs. You don't know their expense. You don't even know if they're including labor as a part of their cost. That's important. That will increase anyone's prices. It's just labor, actually including your own labor. And there should be no shame about paying yourself. And even if you're like, well, I literally financially do not have the money to pay myself. Okay, do a mock budget. Pretend physically have a separate budget spreadsheet. Put how much it would cost for you to work for yourself. And usually that means, okay, I need to track how many hours I spend on chores, logistics stuff, marketing stuff. Have those as separate expenses, separate sections, separate employees, so to speak. And then figure out what your number is. Once you see that number, you're probably gonna be like, oh, man, I ain't never gonna make it. Wrong attitude. The attitude needs to be, oh, okay, so this is how much money I'm in the hole, but this is how much money I need to get out of the hole. How can I increase my profitability so that way I can actively pay myself rather than leeching on my farm profits, which inevitably destroys the farm's ability to last, which inevitably leads to me having to fund the farm out of my personal expenses at the end. It always starts. I'm leeching off the farm incomes, but inevitably the farm starts leeching off of you, and that goes even into your retirement. You do not want that. So, anyways, we out of time. The reason why I only did this one topic today, because we usually have been doing two topics, is because this is just, I can literally talk about this for 8 weeks by itself. So my encouragement to you is if you feel like, man, I've been screwing up my marketing, I don't even know how to start. What are ads? Like, how do I even make an ad? How do I understand who my ideal customer is? Take it one day at a time. Don't get frustrated. Don't get overwhelmed. Understand that the problems that you're going against are inanimate objects, inanimate problems. You actually have a brain. Therefore, because you're an intelligent being, despite what maybe your mama said about you, despite what maybe your daddy said about you, your ex-husband, your ex-wife, your kids said about you, you have sentience, you have an intelligent brain, you automatically can beat those things. All you have to do is try, learn, improve, make mistakes, get better, rinse, wash, repeat. That's all you got to do. So I say that to encourage you. There is hope. You can make it through this. You can, in fact, be profitable, despite what anyone says, despite what you say about yourself. But you got to try. You got to overcome that fear, and you got to do the work. Amen? All right. Anyways, I'm going to let y'all go. I hope y'all have a good night, and I will see y'all next Thursday. Not Thursday. What's the day? Wednesday. Sorry, I'm sick. It's been a long day. All righty. I'm going to stop recording.